The blacksmith does not curse the fire that burns his hands, nor does he flee from the hammer's weight upon the anvil. He understands what the untrained eye cannot see, that without the searing heat and relentless pressure, iron remains forever brittle, useless, unable to hold an edge or bear the weight of purpose. So too must we learn to see our suffering not as punishment from the gods, but as the very forge in which our character is tempered into something unbreakable. Pain, that most unwelcome visitor, arrives not as destroyer but as craftsman, ready to chisel away everything weak within us if we possess the wisdom to stand still and endure its work. The ancient philosophers understood what modern comfort has obscured, that pain is not the enemy of human flourishing, but its most rigorous teacher. When we grasp this fundamental truth, we begin to see suffering through the lens of opportunity rather than affliction. The Stoic does not seek pain, for that would be folly, but neither does he waste it when it arrives unbidden at his door. Instead, he transforms it through the alchemy of perspective, converting raw agony into refined wisdom. Consider how the river carves its path through stone, not by avoiding resistance but by flowing persistently against it. Each obstacle becomes the very means by which the water discovers its true course. Similarly, our struggles reveal not our limitations, but our hidden reserves of strength. Pain strips away our illusions, our comfortable lies about what we can and cannot endure. It shows us that we are far more resilient than we believed, far more capable of bearing what previously seemed unbearable. The wise person learns to welcome difficulty as a training ground for virtue. Just as the athlete grows stronger by lifting weights that challenge his muscles to their limits, we grow in character by bearing burdens that test our resolve. Pain teaches us patience when we want to rush, courage when we want to flee, and compassion when we want to harden our hearts. Without these trials, we remain like untempered steel, shiny perhaps, but brittle when pressure comes. This is not mere endurance for its own sake, but purposeful transformation. Each hardship becomes a question posed by fate. Will you retreat into bitterness, or will you advance toward wisdom? The answer we choose shapes not only our character, but our destiny. In the markets of ancient Athens, there lived a potter whose workshop stood beside that of his rival. When fire destroyed the rival's kiln and ruined his year's work, the neighboring craftsman did not celebrate his competitor's misfortune. Instead, he opened his own workshop doors and shared his kiln, his clay, even his customers. Years later, when asked why he had aided his rival in that dark hour, the potter replied, "His fire taught me that my own workshop could burn just as easily. Better to build friendship from the ashes of his disaster than to wait for my own flames to arrive." The oak tree that grows in the sheltered valley, protected from harsh winds, develops a shallow root system and weak trunk. When the storm finally comes, it falls with the first strong gust. But the oak that grows on the exposed mountainside, battered by constant wind and weather, develops deep roots and a trunk like iron. It bends in the fiercest gales, but does not break, for every previous storm has made it stronger. The mountain oak does not curse the wind that sculpted it into something magnificent. It stands as testament to the transformative power of persistent adversity. A merchant once lost his entire fortune in a single day when his ships were claimed by a tempest. His friends expected him to rage against the gods or sink into despair. Instead, they found him the next morning walking calmly through the harbor, examining smaller vessels for purchase. When questioned about his strange composure, he smiled and said, "Yesterday I was afraid of losing my wealth. Today I am free of that fear forever. The storm took my gold, but gave me something more valuable, the knowledge that I can begin again." Within 3 years, his new fleet exceeded his former prosperity, but more importantly, he sailed with a peace that no storm could disturb. These are not mere stories, but mirrors reflecting the eternal truth that our greatest disasters often become our most profound teachers, if we possess the wisdom to receive their harsh but necessary lessons. The archer does not become master of his craft by reading treatises on bow-making, but by drawing the string 10,000 times until his fingers bleed and his arms ache. So too must we practice the art of transforming pain into fuel through daily discipline, not grand gestures performed once in crisis. Each morning brings small discomforts, the cold floor beneath bare feet, the weight of responsibility, the sting of criticism, and each becomes an opportunity to strengthen our capacity for greater trials. Begin with the simplest practice. When discomfort arises, pause before reacting. Feel the sensation fully, neither fleeing from it nor drowning in it, but observing it as a scientist studies a specimen. Ask yourself what this pain reveals about your assumptions, your attachments, your hidden fears. The headache that ruins your plans teaches you that health is not guaranteed. The friend's harsh words expose your dependence on others' approval. The financial setback reveals how much of your peace depends on external circumstances. Each pain becomes a teacher if you listen rather than merely endure. Cultivate the habit of reframing your struggles as training. When stuck in traffic, practice patience. When facing criticism, practice separating your worth from others' opinions. When illness strikes, practice accepting what cannot be changed while acting wisely on what can be. The Stoic does not pretend these experiences are pleasant, but neither does he waste them in futile resistance. Like a gardener who knows that both sun and storm are necessary for growth, he learns to work with the natural rhythms of difficulty and ease. Most importantly, remember that living according to nature means accepting that pain is woven into the fabric of existence. The seasons bring both bloom and frost. The tide brings both high and low water. To rage against pain is to rage against the very structure of reality. Instead, align yourself with this natural order, using each difficulty as the universe's way of strengthening you for the role you are meant to play in the great drama of existence. The path before you now diverges into two directions, as it has for every human being who has ever drawn breath. One road leads toward the comfortable delusion that life should be painless, that suffering is always meaningless, that we are victims of forces beyond our control. This is the path of the many, well worn by countless footsteps of those who chose ease over excellence. The other road, narrow and steep, leads toward the profound truth that pain can be transformed into the very fuel of our becoming, but only by those with courage enough to embrace the forge rather than flee from its flames. The choice you make in this moment echoes through every future trial you will face. Will you meet your next heartbreak, your next failure, your next loss as a defeated victim, or as a student eager to learn what strength lies hidden in your depths? The Stoic masters did not achieve their wisdom by avoiding the storms of existence, but by learning to dance with them, to find in each lightning strike the illumination that revealed their true character. Remember that every great soul in history was forged in the crucible of adversity. They discovered what you too must discover, that within you lies a strength far greater than any pain that can be inflicted upon you. Your sufferings are not punishments, but invitations. Invitations to discover your own nobility, to develop virtues that can only be earned through trial, to become the person you were meant to be before comfort made you forget your potential. The forge awaits. The hammer is raised. Step forward, not because the work will be easy, but because you are worthy of the masterpiece you can become.